It was a really strong performance, and you can see the difference in the KDAs coming right there. It's bending out towards that 80 carry position. But straight into the pick and ban. It's going to be Trundle taken away from ADD. Played that in both of the games, as you mentioned earlier, against Longzhu, and the Varus, just a big respect ban against Ian. As you mentioned, his damage per minute being so very high, that Varus is one of the champions that has really helped him accrue that stat.
Yeah, also worth noting that Longzhu did take away the Trundle and the Sivir, which were two of the champions that were picked in both of the games of the last best of 3 a week ago. So they already are going to force MVP to adapt somewhat. Irelia taking out against Expression, pretty common here, and the Rise will be the final ban. We are still on patch 6.12, guys, just so you know, but the Shen first pick, no surprise, teams have been trying to take that away from ADD.
Yeah, had a really strong performance with that in both of the games against Jin Air that allowed them to have that victory. We'll see where ADD wants to go now. Looks like Beyond going to be looking to snatch up that Rek'Sai very early on.
Yeah, we'll see if he actually goes with this. It has been one of the preferred champions for Chaser this season.
Would be a bit of a takeaway, but they could always wait to draft the jungle, go a little bit deeper in, because Beyond, of course, still very comfortable picking up that Graves, one of the few players that still really just brings that to the forefront.
I mean, he can play anything. His Gragas is terrifying. On red side, MVP has last picked a Mumu a couple of games because that is his crazy jungle pocket pick. They did beat the Rocks Tigers in one of those games with the Mumu pickup.
Second time we saw it, though, it didn't go so well.
They did lose to Africa with it, but I think on an individual level he performed well. They may just take away the Vladimir.
Okay.
So this is an interesting draft given the last best of 3 that took place, because Coco was the one who played Vlad both games in a row. So they're kind of saying, all right, well, we know that you love to play Vladimir, Longzhu, and it's his most played champion this season for Coco. Now, what are you going to do about it when we take it away? Can you play the Anivia? Can you play an acceptable counterpick? And are you going to take away the Karma? Because I think Longzhu has to grab the Karma right here with the Sivir banned. You don't want to give Vladimir any more move speed than you have to. So I would assume that MVP would try and run max on Karma support if they had the opportunity to in the next round of the draft, and that's going to be taken away. So they're also going to grab the Ezreal to stay out of range of Vladimir. They take a very powerful dual lane in the bottom side. They want it, the Ezreal Karma combination, some of the strongest early game poke you can have in lane.
Somewhat surprised they didn't want to go for, go back to that Jhin, because with the Stand United, you can be a little bit riskier with that pick. But opting to go the very safe route and have that heavy poke in the early game, as you mentioned. And now Maha playing around with the Ashe. This makes me a little bit worried because of his positional issues, but they will lock this in with Bard.
He hasn't done so well on AD carries that don't have dashes or other movement abilities, so putting him on the Ashe does carry a little bit of a risk, but there's nothing that can catch him out yet. If I'm Longzhu right now, I take Gragas as my jungle and just try and abuse Maha's positioning. Just knowing the character of the team, MVP, they take a pretty poke-heavy lane themselves in the Ashe and the Bard, and they Bard-Vladimir synergy is very good if you can land those Tempered Fates, because it allows Vladimir to get into the back line, buys you enough time to effectively engage. And they also have the Ashe Arrow to catch people out as well, so that should take care of MVP's initiation.
Okay, well, hover over the Cassiopeia. We haven't seen Cass in a while. I don't know, have we seen it since the CJ Rocks game?
I do not believe so.
Yeah,
but I
I'm
would
pretty
have to
sure
check.
that was the last time, but we'll be locked in with Kindred in the jungle, so not going to be looking for that that displacement for the Gragas to knock Maha in.
This makes me really nervous from Longzhu, just because they have no way to engage right now. Basically, there's nobody for Shen to ult onto that he can chain a taunt to. They are really dedicating themselves to kiting with speed with the Cassiopeia poison, with the Kindred ultimate. So the ability to engage is going to be limited, to say the least. Gangplank to hover right now, but I don't think that's going to be coming in.
Yeah, we've seen this once before. It was Trace playing into in this matchup, and it did not go well at all. for Trace, and this would be very bold of ADD if they want to lock this in and only give them that one frontline tank in the right side. Vladimir can soak a bunch of damage, but it looks like they're actually going to lock this. So you're worried a little bit about Longzhu. Now I'm a little bit worried about MVP.
I am a little bit worried about MVP. This Gangplank pick is a bit odd. It has not been picked yet this season by ADD, and he traditionally hasn't been performing well on non-tank junglers. So this matchup should be able to zone Gen out. He's not going to be able to dodge the barrels that are coming through with the dodge field. And it does set them up for some strong, very strong late-game damage. I mean, you hit that Hemo Plague into a barrel chain. I mean, that is ridiculous.
Yeah, their AoE teamfight is phenomenal with a Hurricane Ash, Bard ultimate to kind of clump everybody straight into a Hemo Plague with the Cannon Barrage coming down. But it's a lot of setup, so they're very reliant on chaining those abilities together and getting the Hemo Plague down onto multiple members so that Maha can actually shred people with that increased 10% damage. But you have to do all of this while hoping that Maha doesn't step too far forward.
Yeah, well, at least if he's too far forward, they still have a ton of damage left over to deal with it. And they do have two forms of engage, Ash Arrow and Bard Ultimate, so it's not, all is not lost if one person misses their abilities. MVP, or Longzhu rather, I'm not sure where this Shen is going to be ulting in this game, because if he can't win a split push versus the Gangplank, there's not going to be too many options for him available if his team actually needs to force a fight around an objective. Maybe they get a lucky Flash Cassiopeia ultimate, but it's really not a good look, I think. If you start to fall behind with Longzhu's composition, you have to engage. You are going to be severely limited.
Well, we'll have to keep our eyes on Chaser, see if he's able to get Expression ahead on that Shen so that he can become pretty much so the Gangplank can become a non-factor. Let's get right into game one, see what happens. All right, of course, it's going to be a Cloud Drake. Just had to be. We got Mountain. We started with a triple Mountain last time, but looks like we're going to start with a little bit of action as Pierce taking some damage from that volley from the Ash Max. Is getting a bunch, so has to flash away. He was going to go down the Cassiopeia, able to take him out. This is a really great start for Longzhu. Still chasing on to Maha. The poison's not going to land, and now Ian just arriving, but wow, that's devastating poke there coming out from MVP, and they pay for pushing too far down the river.
Yeah, big first blood for Coco. In this matchup, he should be able to burn down and harass the Vladimir pretty substantially in the early phases of the game. Didn't even have to flash for it, but do see 3 summoners used for 2, so there is still a possibility that maybe with that heal they can do, or the flash rather, they can do something in that bottom side. So Maha, if they do get an aggressive gank, may be able to win that one back as long as we have standard lanes, which we will not. Kilios, we will not.
Yep. And we can see interesting adaptation. It's going to be the Warlords for Fury on the Ezreal. It's not something that we typically see, but with 6.12, the nerfs to Fervor of Battle, can't get those 2 stacks off of the abilities anymore, so Fury just opting to go for that increased lifesteal.
Yeah, I also think that, you know, he needs to go for a little bit of sustain in this lane, especially if they were going to end up in the 2v2 versus the Ashe and the Bard. It does make things somewhat tricky if you're facing poke versus poke, so that'd be a little bit helpful. Ian here trying to dodge out from Coco, who's already level 2 and slinging some Twin Fangs his way.
That's going to make things really rough beyond though. Oh, okay. Well, they'll lose 1. Here takes away one of those tiny little red sentinels, but it's not going to lose the buff. They're not going to lose much else, and now we can see ADD is running down to join him in the jungle. Here just going to stick around for a little bit, maybe throw another Q here or there, but ultimately we'll retreat back up to that top side and help Fury get the push going onto the turret.
And we'll see how they play around this Gangplank, because this is another one of those Trinity Force dependent top laners that does need a lot of gold early. So should be slowed down here by the lane swap arrangement and a delay on his ability to farm. Meanwhile, Fury's going to buy himself some time with that tier as long as the lane swap goes to both sides of the map. And that should make the scaling just a little bit smoother for Longzhu while the AD carry is not harassed. And we are going to see both teams hitting the turret at about the same time.
Yeah, this is just a really rough start here for Ian. The double door. Wow, my throat. Okay, there we go. Fixed it. The double Doran's ring for Coco. It's going to be really rough to go through for Ian, who started with boots and pots. Not going for the Doran shield like we usually see on these Vladimirs.
Now, one of the things that was interesting about the Cassiopeia the last time we saw it is that because the Miasma now, we're going to wait for this gank.
Oh, yep, Beyond coming in with a tunnel, gets onto Coco, heals, trying to get out of here. Still has the flash available, but he's kiting up into the jungle, trying to get near the rest of Longzhu. MVP acknowledge this, know that they can collapse downward, and just have to peel off. So they do get the Summoner spell out from him, but the Ghost is also down here for the Vlad.
So yes, as a
well, now Chaser's coming around the sides, getting that damage in onto Ian. But here comes Beyond, goes in, pops him up. Chaser has to flash out. Nice little turnaround. Max now arriving, gets a slow with the Cosmic Binding, but they're not going to be able to follow up for any kills. And I think you can now speak your point.
All right, I'm good. Yeah, the Miasma, at least with Vladimir, it's one more tool that you have to kite him. So not only do you have the Karma speed if you're Longzhu, and you have the taunt for kiting purposes, but if he goes for Proto Belts, he can't actually dash through the Miasma with the item. So that does make it so a lot harder for champions that we have seen using Proto Belt pretty frequently, like Rumble, the occasional Elise, and the Vladimir, to actually engage or close the gap on some of these fights. So Cassiopeia, very useful in situations like that, and we are going to see the full lane swap here, so a bit of tier stacking time without some Ashe harassment from Maha and MVP.
Just going to get as much damage in onto Expression as he can before shoving him out of the lane. So far, he's been falling a little bit behind in the swap, but will be able to catch up. You can see the daggers start coming in for him, so just going to be going straight for that seal, maybe even the recurve bow.
Yeah, Ezreal actually backing off on the bottom side too, and Pure is going to be joining in the top lane, so they're not really going for a committed shove here. Longzhu, that is. They push the minion wave up and are going to be reversing it, and there's nobody in the bottom side to take it because ADD is here in the top lane. And Expression has been able to get a level just based off of solo XP here. Advantage onto ADD. So Ezreal, a very odd path right now, heading the long way.
Took one of the crunks too on his way out.
Towards the top side. And so, that's a big denial of minions actually in the bottom side that Longzhu just pulled off. They were able to deny an entire wave of experience, and basically they were farming 3 lanes while MVP was only farming 2 for a little bit. So how can they translate that into a further advantage? ADD, the one who's really hurt by all of this.
And that's going to be, one of the worst things that you can have, a Gangplank. Getting hurt by, not able to soak up that CS. Needs to be able to get those items in very quickly, get that Trinity Force, and start building damage, because the sooner that the Shen gets to that Sunfire Cave, the worse it's going to be for ADD. He's not going to be doing much damage.
Yeah, Max was just called down to the bottom side, too, to protect this Gangplank as he pushes out, and they do see the Shen or suspect that he's in the brush. There's Kindred. Pinged down in the tri-brush right now, so they were attempting to maybe set up a gank for this Shen. Chaser lurking down there, just seeing if he's going to get greedy and try and push this wave too deep. They don't know where Rek'Sai is at the moment, but they are proceeding rather cautiously, and GP is going to get a little bit of time pushed up here. However, Expression still with that level advantage, and Fury and Pure shoving back down the lane right now. They've got a farm advantage there, so it's about, big
they're
play.
taking a magical journey. Here comes Max. The Tether's going to come through from Pure, but Beyond gets in, gets the pop-up, but Maha's not there to come in with the slow or the damage. Now in the bottom side, ADD does push forward, flashes out, but Expression follows through, gets the taunt, and they'll take him down. That's going to be the second kill going over to Longzhu. Nicely played in this early game.
Yeah, that was actually a really fast reaction from Expression to follow the flash of ADD, so very well played. They get the second kill of the game as a result. Coco continuing to harass Ian and just zone him out from the minion wave. The Miasma. But that level of harassment should be going down right now as Ian does approach that 5th point in the transfusion, so he should be able to at least heal up and more effectively when he is harassed like that.
He's been keeping up, so that's the good thing here so far for him. Tier, of course, stacking for Coco, so not going to be getting any immediate power, so that gives a bit of a chance for Ian to get that Spectre's Cowl in, be able to absorb some damage, and then fire back with some of his own. Beyond and ADD roaming down looking for Expression. Did spot him with the Tremor Sense, but didn't tunnel forward and go for any real aggression. So just going to show some face, and looks like the Krugs will get taken away in the end.
ADD now in a really troublesome situation. Has to call Beyond down to actually help him push up this wave, because otherwise he had a massive freeze incoming. So Beyond having to show a lot on the map right now, that's going to let them maybe make a play onto the top side of the map because they know where Beyond is. And take the blue buff right now. Longzhu has an opportunity at least to move into the top side. No vision up there, so it does carry an element of risk. One thing that MVP have done well is make sure that there's a line of pink wards in their own jungle so that they know that they can play safely around this, and that Longzhu may not want to take the risk without vision of heading in there to make a play onto an overextended duo lane.
Yeah, nice little spread of those pink wards. 4 of them moving up the river through the jungle. So are fairly well defended. People coming from behind. Max is going to go aggressive onto Chaser. Does get the Cosmic Binding. Chaser flashes out, and the arrow from Maha perfectly chained. Wow, MVP. That's exactly what they needed to get their foot in the door. What a well-chained CC event right there from them, and they come up with a kill on the jungler.
And that all comes from their vision. When they know that the enemy doesn't know where the support is, they can set up a play like that.
This was
Max
perfect.
Just comes through right there. Ian ghosting in from the mid lane, and then they just smack him. I mean, the fact that Chaser used Flash right there and still got stunned by the Cosmic Binding too was a nice little touch. Therefore ensuring they were able to finish off that kill. But everything for MVP is riding on this line of pink wards in the topside jungle right now. It is both denying plays from Longzhu and opening up opportunities like that for MVP.
Yeah, I thought that was super aggressive from Max, but the arrow coming in from Maha flew straight and true, and it's just nicely played. Actually picked up the kill credit with the Enchanted Crystal arrow, so.
Which is good. He needed it. He was behind, so.
Yeah, that's really going to help him equalize that gold count that he's been in a deficit for. So it's actually the Berserker Greaves he first completed, now going for the BF Sword.
Yeah, Longzhu finally figuring out that they need to actually be more assertive about taking control of vision on the top side, and they'll use a little bit of a recall there from Ian to do so as they send both Pure and Chaser there to deal with some of these pink wards. And this should give them at least more time to freeze next to their tier 1 without worrying about having plays made on them in the topside river like we just saw.
Yeah, they were able to clear out all 4 of those pink wards, so really establishing some deep vision even around the Raptor camp. You can see where Beyond's hovering around there, pinging him out, so able to keep track of that Rek'Sai. So a good push in from Longzhu. A little too late though to save Chaser's life.
Yeah, you can really tell Longzhu knew what they needed to do, though. They dropped 2 pink wards in the river and then try and get the vision invade right there because it had been dark for far too long considering the circumstance. But so much of this game has been Longzhu playing around that bottom lane, getting Expression the second kill of the game. MVP responds cross-map, so at least they get something for it. But the problem still remains that we have Expression doubling the CS right now of ADD, delaying the Trinity Force build onto this gangplank, and that is a massive problem. We've talked about this a million times since the Trinity Force champions came into the meta, but you have to be able to get ahead.
Oh, going back into Chaser, knowing that he doesn't have the flash. He's able to get the Lamb's Respite down this time, but I don't know if he's going to get out of this one alive. Actually, the Stand United comes through. They will be able to fire back and get Beyond. Coco is going to be the one able to pick up that kill. Max roams down to this bottom side. They'll take a magical journey over the wall and retreat back under the sanctity of this tower. So overall, it's just going to be the junglers trading back and forth.
Yeah, jungler's dead, but any trade right now is preferable for MVP, particularly when they canceled their own TP, so ADD on the shorter cooldown, not actually completing that, but he also just gets more time farming alone, and that is huge right now, that he's not going to be harassed while he has to farm. Meanwhile, Longzhu's still pushing into this top side, and everybody's liked having the top laners on the bottom side of the map. Nobody really caring about the early Cloud Drake right now whatsoever.
What a surprise.
What a surprise. I know we're all really shocked about that.
I can't believe this. Now, but that did let him catch up a good amount. Not going to be getting Flamed Horizon anytime soon. Yet, it would seem. That gives him enough gold to go back, pick up the Phage. and he's close to the Stinger. Had double daggers, but decided to stick with that refillable potion for the time being. So sells the one dagger back. And will rejoin this bottom side. So still a ways out on that Trinity Force. But it was a nice little reprieve for him, but he needs to get back in here and maintain that farm, because if he falls even further behind, it's going to be really rough times.
That lack of a teleport actually did get him about 10 farm, so he is, as you say, closing the gap ever so methodically. Especially pretty far up now, but he's got that Sunfire Cape, so ADD is going to have a hard time actually hurting him.
Yeah, you don't really want to walk up to try to get the true damage in from the swing, because that Shen will still do a good job trading against you.
Yeah, did actually step forward there to get his Trinket Ward into the Tri-Brush, finds a Rek'Sai, and decides that it might be a wise idea to back off. Now we see a swap coming in. Everybody heading down to that Cloud Drake on the bottom side. Maha and Max are there, and looks like they're just going to make a play onto the bottom now.
Chasers over the wall has vision of this. Doesn't go for a steal. Not really worth it for the Cloud, so we'll just go ahead and peel back. So first Dragon goes over, and lo and behold, it will be an Infernal Drake answering our prayers. So we'll see that one coming up in about 20.5 minutes, and definitely going to be one to be fought over between these two teams. Arrow comes out, finds Pure. Maha is really on point with these so far. The Burrow comes in, they pop him up with the Rek'Sai. He's going to go down. Nicely played yet again by MVP, really executing with this Ashe on these picks.
Yeah, Maha, we said he needed to step up before this game, and to his credit, he has. He's now 3 for 3 on Enchanted Crystal arrows in this game. Many of them have been from long range, but the synergy with Max, too. Using the Cosmic Binding and using basically the full duration of that stun to close the gap with the Cosmic Binding, able to get there with the Boots of Mobility fast enough to get the Q down, and then it's a simple chain into the knockup. And because Beyond went Tiamat first in this game, he actually has a lot of damage early to finish off that kill.
Yeah. I'm starting a tally for Ashe arrows hit and miss.
All right.
I'm gonna try to maintain this throughout the duration of the series.
I'll
should Maha
remind you.
play it. So far 3 for 0, or 3 for 3, I should say.
Wow, that's pretty good.
But
I wish I could hit three Enchanted Crystal arrows for 0 shots made.
Yeah.
That's next level.
He's breaking the game. I've been watching too much speedrunning, Monty. I'm used to the people shattering the games that I'm watching.
Well, people do that, but typically you get banned by Riot.
That's very true.
Not rewarded by, 6-figure viewership on a stream.
Or somebody figures out the bug, and then they just say, like, don't do this, or you lose a ban, or you get a loss.
Yeah, auto losses usually.
We can't fix this yet, but
that actually
if you do it.
That actually does happen, guys. Sometimes in League of Legends, you do just have to say, this bug is... You have to do it deliberately.
Well, I mean,
so therefore, if you do this bug, you will lose the game instantaneously.
I mean, the best example I can think of was delaying the first wave of minions by standing in front of it in the base. So you delayed getting to the...
They stopped people from doing that?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, that was...
I thought that was legit.
No, so, like, people started... So LCK started doing that. I think it was Apollo, when he was on Dignitas at the beginning of the spring split, had done it. And the casters made mention of it, and they actually came out and said, hey, this isn't intended. If we see you replicating this intentionally,
that was a cool part of lane swaps. Whatever.
Yeah.
That's
so
dumb.
They said that it will result in a match forfeit for your team if you do this.
Okay, that's ridiculous. I don't understand why that was such a big deal. I mean, when there are actual glitches that like affect team fights and stuff like that, I do get it. But that one, when any team can do that on any champion, like, why ban it?
I don't know. Well, Beyond's going really aggressive into this bottom side. We'll get the pop-up onto Expression. They throw down the Cannon Barrage. And it doesn't look like this Shen has many places to go, just trying to trade back the damage onto the GP, but it's not going to work. And that's going to be ADD coming up with his first kill of the game. Triforce completed for him, so going to start outputting damage. And now with that kill picked up, he is going to be in a pretty good spot. So MVP, after a bit of a disastrous start to this game, is starting to bounce back.
Well, what else is new? I think that what's so weird about this particular matchup, Achilleos, is that, like I said, MVP have been the worst team in the league. They've had the lowest gold total on average at 15 minutes of any team at negative 1,100. Now, Longzhu's been pretty good. They've been positive, about 300 so far this season. But it's the late game where MVP comes online, and they're starting to turn it around right now. Longzhu has had a really poor late game. They're typically able to leverage themselves into 40-minute games just because of how strong their early game has been, but their shot calling late has been something of a disaster, and they haven't been able to really close with any degree of efficiency. So right now, I think we're just looking at sort of the story of these teams. MVP's going to take a gold lead after killing this turret.
Yeah.
They were able to just bootstrap this gangplank back in the game through a nice gank. And now they're going to be able to get this Rift Herald, which is actually going to be really important for the Gangplank to have.
Yeah, this is a really strong swap for them. They're going to trade that tier 1 on the bottom side, so gold is going to pretty much even out across the board here. They're still going to be a little bit ahead, but now getting that Rift Herald, MVP come out on top of the trade because there's no dragon available for a minute and a half for Longzhu to capitalize on.
Yeah, ADD just staying cool in that lane, not losing his head, and allowing his teammates to play around the top side of the map with the dual lane in it for a while, and he is rewarded for his patience as Dion shows him some love and eventually able to get the Rift Herald and the first Drake of the game. And we're going to see another Infernal Drake now, or I should say another Drake. This one is Infernal, to be perfectly accurate, and that's going to be coming up in a minute. So this is going to be the fight that we really take a look at. Muramana nor Seraph's Embrace are fully stacked yet for Coco and Fury. We probably won't see those for another 3 to 4 minutes in this game. So are they going to try and make a play when they're not quite at their power spike yet?
Would be a bit risky if they want to go for it. And of course, they have to respect that AoE fight potential that MVP does offer up. So big risk. We can see the Proto Belt, though, does get finished out by Ian. Now he can make those explosive entrances as long as there's not any miasma underneath of his feet.
Yeah, that's going to be the trick, though, getting through that. At least he has Ghost. To
does
sort
it
of
activate, or does it just not let you activate? Like, do you just not go anywhere?
You don't go anywhere.
Oh, okay. Well, here we go. Stand United. Going to be used on a Beyond. He will get taunted up, takes a bunch of damage. Will be able to burrow over the wall. Chaser's going to flash out. Can he get one more hit? The True Shot Barrage will take care of it from Fury. He is able to pick off the jungler, and that sets up Longzhu perfectly for this Infernal Drake.
Yeah, that was a bit risky there. Chaser did have to blow his flash in order to pick up that kill. And that's sort of the awkwardness of their engage here with the Shen and not having much else. But you know what? It worked that time. They were able to pick off the jungler, the crucial member. Not the end of the world for MVP. Yes, they're going to lose the Infernal Drake, and that is a big blow. But again, they get more farm onto the Gangplank. And if we're looking at late-game damage here, MVP is absolutely ridiculous. The Vladimir and the combination with the GP should be doing a whole hell of a lot of work. We'll see if they are able to bounce back from this. They don't necessarily need the Infernal Drake to be dealing a ton of damage.
Sure. 6%, or rather 8% increase onto that Cassiopeia, though, does sound pretty terrifying for Coco. Should be doing a lot of damage with those Twin Fangs. See already just ripping through these minions.
Seraph's Embrace complete as well for Coco. Still waiting on the Muramana. Fury going into the Blade as third item. Smart to get a little bit more sustain right now, as well as just keep that Vladimir at bay. You want to make sure that you can kite him as effectively as possible.
Looks like he's going for the Abyssal next. So just going to try to do as much damage as he can. We can only assume that the Void Staff and perhaps a Rabbidan's Death Cap will round out the rest of that build.
Yeah, we are starting a split push now from MVP. Even though they don't have a teleport onto the Vladimir, there's no objective right now to take, really. No one's going to be trying a Baron this early into the game. And the vision good for MVP on that top side of the map.
Hey, man, I don't know. There's a Cassiopeia. We've seen what she can do to Barons.
Yeah, that's true. I haven't seen too many new Cassiopeias with Baron because a lot of the old Cassiopeia was Twin Fang spam, so I'm sure she could still do it quite quickly, but maybe not at the same pace before the rework.
She's Noah's here, but she gets it done. Arrow's going to come out. It's going to land on Apira again. Cannon Barrage is there. Hemo Blake down. Stand United used, but I don't even know if that's going to finish channeling. It actually will. Apira is able to flash away, especially now up in the front lines. Coco going to get caught by that Bard ultimate, and Beyond comes around the side, and Ian going right into the back line. Flashes forward, finds Pierre. Can he get Chaser? Not going to be able to finish him off, but on the other side of the fight, Coco will go down. They'll trade back from Maha. Overall, it's going to be a 3-for-3. Critted back and forth between these guys. Fury, what are you doing?
What the hell was that?
I don't know what he was thinking. He goes through the magical journey, and surprise, there's a
There's a Tiamat Rek'Sai at full HP on the other side of that magical journey, and a Thunderlord's Bard. You are. We were singing Fury's praises, but man, you are not going to live through that. He also had no sustain. So, besides his Bilgewater Cutlass.
Yeah, so, I don't even know. We'll take another look at this fight. I mean, another arrow.
The setup is really good, but I do think they over-pursue this a little bit, and they blow the Chemo Plague too early. They're not going to pop him when Chaser is there, so Pure actually able to escape as a result. But the second part of this fight, that's a beautiful ultimate there from Tempered Fate, and Ian plays this so well, gets into the back line with the flash and the ghost. Unfortunately, can't quite get the kill. There's 4 members of MVP right there on top of him. Fury's going to help. Actually, Cassiopeia grabs a double kill right there.
You just saw 2 of them go through this.
I don't know what he thought would happen. I honestly have no idea what he thought he was going to do there.
All right, well, Longzhu, though, going to look to try to make a play around this. Cannon Barrage has been used by ADD. Beyond goes in. Baron getting chunked down. It's actually going to be confirmed by ADD. He's going to steal this one away. Max coming over the wall, trying to provide some CC. Looks like it's going to do the trick. A double kill now for the Gangplank. Maha gonna clean up. 4 members dead on the side of Longzhu and MVP.
What is this game?
MVP of a 5.4K gold lead, and Longzhu.
Wow, that wasn't even a bad call from Longzhu. They saw Vladimir. They saw Vladimir on the bottom side of the map, and they decided to make an attempt. But you can't really underestimate the amount of damage that Gangplank's going to be able to do to you. MVP susses it out pretty quickly and is able to get the Cannon Barrage down. And there's not a lot of tankiness on this roster besides Expression. Now, how did this even get stolen?
I don't know.
I couldn't tell whether it was...
I guess it was the Cannon Barrage.
It was the Cannon Barrage or a barrel.
He didn't have a barrel. He already had chained them into the bit, so it had to be the Cannon Barrage. So Chaser just not able to get the smite off.
Wow.
Neither was close. Beyond, really. But
well, ADD there, I guess with the Cannon Barrage, like I said, I'd have to watch it again to make sure I actually knew what stole that, but it didn't appear to be the Cannon Barrage at least.
Oh, this is so silly. This whole game has just been silly.
Yeah, and now there's a bannered up minion on the bottom side of the map.
Not an item we see a whole lot of now. Cannon Barrage coming back down yet again. Stand United has been used. There's the Bard ultimate connects. Chaser actually going to get not caught by that arrow. Goes on to Expression. Chaser on the Lamb's Respite will get that heal. He tries to hop out of there, but I don't think he's going to get out of this one alive. Beyond is hot on his heal. Ian, though, going really low, has to pop the Zonia's Coco, trying to trade back. Will be able to get him even as he enters the Sanguine Pool. So far, it's a 1-for-1 Chaser and Ian, the only 2 falling, but MVP with these Baron-empowered minions, still pretty healthy on the remaining 4, are able to push in. They're going to take this inhibitor.
Yeah, zoning out with a few more barrels. Ian went a little bit too far in that fight. I do like the fact that Max chose to Bard ult onto Chaser to try and prevent him from using the Lamb's Respite. And Chaser should not have used the Lamb's Respite there because all the members of MVP were around him when he came out of stasis, and so he sort of gave it over to them. He should have held on to that, I think, instead of using it. In any case, they still get 1-for-1. But look at what MVP was doing right there. They set up the side wave push with the bannered minion. Go mid, take out the inhibitor, and by the time they take that out, they immediately have a minion wave there to take out the tier 2 as well. So just really, this is what we've come to know about MVP. Really good idea of when the Baron is happening. Again, they take more Barons in their games, only second to SK Telecom in this league. So even though Ian was in the bottom side, and yes, that was a mistake, Ian actually made it to the end of that Baron fight, and they had the vision to at least contest it, right? It wasn't just a giveaway by MVP. Then we take a look at the way that they set up that Baron push to get the inhibitor using the banner command. Just really veteran stuff. Like, they've got good shot calling, and they all are on the same page when it comes to closing games. That's been their strength. That continues to be their strength. Longzhu, typical Longzhu, up in the early game. We all know individually their players are very talented, but the teamwork, the shot calling, the planning, just not there.
I'd say that the one thing that's really just not typical of them right here is Fury going, not positioning well, taking blind magical journeys. I mean, the only thing that he's really contributed so far overall was that one snipe with True Shot Barrage and then a smattering of poke damage. He hasn't been playing as well as we saw him play last week, and I guess that is in part to him not having that Jhin, not having that big utility ultimate that he brings to the table. But Fury is just looking little lopsided in this game so far. But MVP now coming in almost at a 10,000 gold lead. They were just 1,000 apart less than 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, it's been a big snowball, and MVP they've done a lot with it. You know, both of the games in the last series were over 40 minutes. One of them was 55 minutes, but we're 28 minutes into this one, Achilles, and it is not looking like it's going to take long. This GP has bounced back really nicely. 3-2-2 now for ADD. He's been showing up in a big way, going for a pretty big glass cannon build here.
Yeah, ball mount Mortius. We'll give him a little bit of protection. Beyond's going to go deep. That arrow actually whips. Coco now with the stand united on him. They're going to be able to burn through the wreck sidebar. Ultimate gets thrown out. Will catch Expression. That should give MVP enough time to retreat, so they knock down that inhibitor tower. ADD still poking away down bot, but can't find much.
Yeah, they don't quite get the inhibitor tower. It's left with about 100 HP or so. And that's, it was a bit sloppy there. First off, when you throw the arrow in, you sort of want to make sure that that actually hits something before you actually try and follow up on it, because...
Yeah. Oh, they didn't kill it.
No, they didn't.
Wow.
No, they didn't. And it was just a little bit too deep there for Beyond, and again, Longzhu's composition is excellent for kiting. They have a Rhyalize now onto the Cassiopeia, that combined with the Frostborn Gauntlet, and the mobility that they have with the Ezreal and the Karma means that it's going to be really tricky for them to dive turrets. They also, the second mistake MVP made was they pulled ADD out of the bottom lane to try and answer that fight, and all he should have done was drop the Cannon Barrage and kept split pushing, because he may have been able to get that bottom inhibitor turret even after the missed arrow there.
Yep. So by my count, I think he's 6-1 right now on hits and misses. So still a good stat to have.
Yeah, he's having a very good game.
And yeah, been going for a very powerful build. We can see a rapid fire cannon as the third item for him off the backside of the Infinity Edge. QSS in the inventory, and now has that vampiric scepter. So looking for the Mercurial Scimitar soon. So they won't be able to get locked down by that Petrifying Gaze or that taunt.
I'm waiting to see what MVP is going to be doing right now. They are sending 2 into the top side.
Oh, he's just going to go for it.
Why not?
And he gets it. So another exposed inhibitor now in the top side. One in mid will be respawning shortly. It's got a little bit left on it, maybe like a minute, 45 seconds, something like that. Now MVP just grouping up top, looking for this inhib. ADD playing with the team, not going to be splitting in bot. And Maha gets a couple seconds, will rip that thing down below half HP.
Yeah, still lurking on the outside, playing respectfully now. Changing their tune. ADD is there for barrel poke, not actually. Nice job.
See, that does nothing to Expression.
Doesn't, even with the armor pen that he has. Of course, this is a result of Gangplank's nerfs, but he can get it to the back line, so he'll be doing well. That time didn't have one.
Arrow comes out, still finds Fury, even through the Arcane Shift. Cannon Barrage comes down, and chunk out Chaser. Still not able to get onto that inhibitor, but it's so very low. You're going to get chunked out by that barrel. But MVP overall has to back off, and that mid-inhib has respawned. So now they're holding on for dear life, but doing a pretty successful job of it. Scrying Orbs being used. And MVP are pushing up towards this Baron, which does have wards on it right now from Longzhu.
Yeah, this may not be the best time to do the Baron because you don't have Cannon Barrage and you don't have the Ashe ult either. So a bit risky. I think you just want to bait it here and see if you can get it out. Meanwhile, Longzhu has all their ultimates available. You just got to play patiently, see if you can stagger some recalls right now if you're MVP. Nice poke.
Our ultimate comes through. Coco has to burn the flash. Max is going to go forward. Stand United now used onto the Cassiopeia. Lambs spike down in the middle of the fight. It's going to keep Pure and Coco alive for the time being. Beyond trying to take up, but he's gone really, really low. And Expression is going to try to finish him off with the help of Chaser. They're able to do so now. Getting onto Maha. They jump on top of him. That's going to be the second member of MVP going down. But Ian, ADD, and Max are collapsing back downward. Ian hot on the heels of this Kindred. He has no mana. Can't use the Q to get away. He's going to go down. Meanwhile, the Gangplank able to pick up the Karma. They do lose Max, but they're able to fire back. So all in all, it's going to be a 3 for 3. But that's a good little bit of a pickup there for Longzhu. They need to not fall behind further and further. We'll take another look at this one.
Yeah, this is, I don't know. I think you just wait here if you're MVP. It's a little bit greedy. They see the double hit on the barrel. That's good from ADD, but then the Tempered Fate misses, and that's where you back off. Beyond's still going to go in. He does get stunned by the Cassiopeia ultimate, and the positioning is good this time for the Lamb's Respite. Coco does get chased off on the side, but Expression's doing a lot of work, able to actually help take out Beyond, and Fury, the big winner of this fight. You see the slow nature of this Gangplank and Vladimir combination as they sort of had to go chasing Coco off to the side and then trundle back towards their back line, which had already been eliminated.
Expression just burns through Max. But okay, so
Infernal goes over to MVP.
That is a pretty devastating pickup. More AD for that Gangplank, and the Ashe have already been shredding through the members of Longzhu. And Ian as well, going to be doing pretty nicely with that increase. Division control coming out from Longzhu, just trying to keep that hit available to them. Keep it exclusive. But several members of MVP are grouped up. They have 3 pink wards in the inventory, and they're going to go ahead and start dropping these out around the river. So just push back in and maintain dominance.
Exclusive pit makes it sound like Baron has some sort of nightclub situation going on down there.
He does.
He does throw people out of that pit quite a lot.
He's he's the DJ and the bouncer. He's the all-in-one.
Do you think he has just a dress code to the Baron? Do you think he has to be naked like Baron in order to go in there? Is that the key? Is that why everybody keeps getting bounced?
Yeah, that's why he's really mad. No one else is naked. He's like, come on, guys. Why am I the only one?
Okay. I see him started up right now.
Italy in cougar form can be allowed in.
All right, there you go.
She's technically not wearing
Rek'Sai's cool, though.
Yeah, Rek'Sai, yeah, she's fine. See, though, very fast Baron coming out from the side of MVP. Arrow comes in, finds Coco. It's going to be another one. Cannon Barrage answered as well as the Bard ultimate, just stacking everything in. See the barrels coming through, ripping through Chaser. Coco just standing on that Lamb's Respite, trying to keep himself alive. I don't know if it's going to work, though. He's gotta go down. Beyond finds a kill now, especially too far forward in no man's land. Going to be the third member rather, of Longzhu to fall, as Pure had gone down before him. Chaser and Fury, the last people left. Baron and Powered minions pushing down to this exposed inhibitor. I think MVP are going to look to close the game here in 36 minutes.
Yeah, they are. And again, MVP has just been executing this long-range initiation incredibly well this game. Really big props to them. The arrows have been on point. They've been chaining it together in different ways to Tempered Fate first, then Arrow, or Cosmic Binding, then Arrow, the other way around. It's just been a really impressive team fighting performance, I think, in this game from MVP, and they find the engages they need. This looks like a very refined combination from MVP, something that they've been scrimming with for quite some time.
Yeah, I mean, that execution with those Ashe arrows into the fights looking akin to that of KT's, where we saw Arrow rocking the Ashe, and they had some amazing engagements throughout that game. But MVP, wow, giving up rather the first blood early on Max with that just aggressive push down the river, but they're able to come back, just make strong objective rotations around the map, picking up towers for free, getting that first Cloud Drake rolling. They lost, of course, the Infernal, but I mean, we also have to say that steal on the Baron was a massive point for them. Like, getting the steal with a Cannon Barrage was huge.
I think they may have won that team fight anyway because of the amount of damage the Cannon Barrage had already done in that pit. But yes, I mean, getting the steal was just icing on the cake, really, because they did end up with a 4-for-0 out of that. Vlad actually did make it up in time for the end of the team fight. The AoE was definitely there to punish Longzhu for them being in the pit.
Yeah.
This game, I think what was most impressive was not only the engages, as I said, from MVP, but the vision control. And knowing, especially at the start of the game, the pink placement I thought was really good for the situation. That went into knowing exactly when Longzhu was even going to be starting that Baron so they could actually contest it, even though their Vlad was cross-map with no TP. That it all worked out very well for MVP. And they just continue to impress. Even ADD, who was totally shut down in the early game, ended up doing the most damage on his team to champions. His barrels ended up doing quite a bit over the course of that game. And it was, I like that MVP knew when to hit the go button. They they absolutely said, okay, if this guy's gonna get chunked out, then the arrow comes in. If we're gonna catch somebody out with the tempered fate or the arrow, okay, the cannon barrage goes on them next, especially those last series of picks that they got.
Yeah.
And they knew they could close a large amount of distance because they had such long-range engage and they had multiple forms of it that they could basically go a quarter of the way across the map as long as one of those abilities hit, which was impressive to watch.
Yeah, and I mean, the members that we thought were going to be questionable with Maha, with ADD, just having a wonderful performance. My end count was 8-1, so
That's
8
really
hits,
good.
1 miss on those Ash arrows, so a really strong performance from Maha, only dying, I believe, just the one time when they kind of reversed that fight for a period of time, and then they ended up chasing each other all over the place. So I think that was the only time that he went down, but I mean the big one was ADD coming back on that GP. We'll see if they're going to play that again. We're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, though, it's Game 2, Longzhu versus MVP. We'll be back in just a few.